Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to Home Buying Tips. In today's video, you'll learn 7 ways home buyers frustrate real estate agents. Are you one of those buyers out there that are looking in the market right now, pissing the hell off out of your agent because you're doing one of these 7 things? Don't be the one that does this because it's going to complicate the process and ultimately it's going to cost you money. Hi, my name is Andrew Finney. Please consider me your real estate geek. I am always here to help. My contact information is in the show more description below and at the end of every video. So let's go ahead and get into those 7 ways that home buyers frustrate their real estate agent with thing number 1. Thing number 1 that people do is actually caring too much about the aesthetics. And you got to remember, beauty is really kind of skin deep, and the same rule will apply in real estate. If you're looking for a home that's absolutely turnkey, move-in ready, everything done that you could have ever wanted, looking like a model just stepped off the runway, well, guess what? It's not going to be that likely that a home's going to be met to that exacting criteria. And even if it is, there may be other issues with that property. Maybe there are, maybe they aren't, but it's important to remember that whenever you're looking at a home, keep a clear mind about it, because if everything about the home is right, and then let's say that if they have carpet in one of the rooms and there's a stain on the carpet, you can replace the carpet. And some people think it might cost like, oh, it's going to cost me $5,000 to replace that carpet. No, it's not. Not unless it's a really darn big room is it going to cost you that kind of money. So just know how to budget accordingly, know how to look past small defects. If the paint needs to be touched up, if the carpet needs to be changed out, or if there's fixtures that are a little bit leaky and stuff like that, just look past that kind of stuff, because you're able to ask for repairs whenever you get into the escrow phase. And if the carpet and paint and stuff like that's an issue, then you're probably going to paint the walls anyways, aren't you? Something to think about whenever you're out there home shopping. Tip number 2 is actually letting the other side know what you're thinking. And it's like tipping your hand in poker, really. I mean, if you tell somebody, oh, it's not the leaky fixtures and the carpet and the paint aren't that important, and you're saying this in the presence of the seller or the listing agent if they're present with the buyer agent there, if you're saying that in their presence, then they're thinking, oh good, we're not going to have to fix any of that, and we're going to be a little bit hard on that, because you might be saying, oh, I got a job relocation and my relocation company is offering me a great incentive and a great bonus to purchase this property, and I might have money left over to make renovations. If you say that kind of stuff, it's going to take away and strip you of some of your negotiation powers when you move into the closing process itself, and actually in the front side negotiations of trying to negotiate that best price possible. Don't tip your hand, okay? Because that's a very frustrating thing, is when we're trying to get you the best deal possible, and then one small slip of the tongue, bloop, out. Just took that card out of play. So be careful about that. Number 3 is waiting too long. What does waiting too long mean? It means that whenever you see that right home that's on the multiple listing service, your agent took the time with you to set up a custom home search site, and you guys have talked about the different homes. You go see your favorite homes out of that list, and then you see the home in person and you're still in love with it and you want that house, but now you're taking too long to make up your mind to make the offer on it. If you do that, you're kind of committing what's called analysis paralysis. You're not seizing the opportunity, and I can guarantee you there's another buyer in your market, especially if it's competitive, that is going to seize that house. And then you might be thinking right now, oh well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Well, it was meant to be because you saw it, and it was meant to be whenever you had the opportunity before anybody else got there, wouldn't you say? It's just an honest question, and it's an honest thought process, because if you wait too long to make a move on a home, the reality is if it's that nice of a home, other buyers are going to be feeling the same way, and other buyers are going to be making offers on it. By the time you decide that you might want to make an offer on it, you might be in a bidding war now, whenever we as a real estate agent want to help you get the best deal possible. So if you see that home that you like, be ready to pull the trigger and make that offer on that property as quickly as possible if it's the right home for you. So that brings us to frustrating thing number 4, which is thinking it's all about the money. So you see that home out there that's on the market and it's listed at $300,000. You've had that conversation with your real estate agent about how much the home should sell for, and the home might be needing to sell for $300,000, and it might comp out at the $300,000, but you want the house for $285,000. But it's not in keeping with the comparables for liking kind of homes, but you think that you want $15,000 off of that list price. Okay, now think of yourself as if you were a seller of the property. Would you take $15,000 less on the price of your property if everything was the same as a home selling around it for $300,000? A little bit of common courtesy and taking a step back and some respect going 2 ways here is what's needed. If the home is worth $300,000, then you be ready to pay $300,000 for the house. If a better deal can be had, your agent will have to work with you on that to try to figure it out. The terms are not only in the offer price itself, but also if you're asking for any kind of buyer closing costs. You need to factor that in there. Are you asking for a home warranty? What kind of other additional things are you asking the seller to pay for? It's important important to know that, and important to understand how the seller is going to read that information and what they're going to think about it if you're trying to put together a good negotiation strategy to get the best price on your new home. So number 5 is actually ignoring what the seller wants. What's that mean? If you make the offer on that $300,000 home and you offer $285,000, the seller counters you back, okay, I'm willing to come down a little bit, even though my home is worth $300,000. I'm willing to come down to, let's say, $292,500. And you try to say, no, I want $287,500. Going back and forth now is getting nitpicky. And when you start doing that, hey, over a few $1,000s, you could miss out on the right home. How long have you been on in the market looking for the right home? How long did it take you to find the home that you're making an offer on now? If it's been a substantial amount of time, do you really want to rinse and repeat and do it all over again because you pissed off a seller and now they don't want to work with you? I mean, I'm just being as real as I can with you, and just in hopes of being honest with you, open your eyes to the way that this process really works. If the seller's saying, hey, my bottom number is $292,500, I'm willing to come down off of my $300,000 list price, you got your real estate agent saying, hey, you need to take this deal and run because this home is worth $300,000, then that's probably what you should do. And it's something that you should definitely consider whenever you're finding the right home for you. If a seller tells you, bottom line, this is what it is, they're not going to go below that. From my experience in helping over 100 families, no, they're not going to do that. They're either going to say, hey, this is what it is, or we're just not going to work with you, period. And we're going to find someone else that will work with us. And it's unfortunate because I've seen it happen more than once where that situation is unfolded, where you have a buyer on one side and a seller on the other side, and they've just completely butted heads. And when they butt heads, then they're entrenched in their position, the buyer's entrenched in their position, and you got a zero-sum game. There's no negotiation to be had, there's no win-win, there's no moving forward, game over. So unless that's what you want, then listen to the advice of your professional real estate agent and ask them how best to put your deal together so that you can move into that home that you want. That brings us to point number 6, which is extremely frustrating, is whenever, again, if you're out there and you're with your buyer agent, the listing agent's present or the seller's present, and you're actually trying to talk to them about different things about the property, or you're making a comment, again, one slip of the tongue, oh, I really love this home, we are going to live here for 10, 15 years, my kid's school is right around the corner, it's close to nearby shopping, stuff like that. And you start making comments like that, you're losing your leverage and you're losing any negotiation power that you would have otherwise had. It's very important to understand that and not tip your hand, not to talk to the other side. Always communicate via your buyer agent, and let your buyer agent address the listing agent, and let it go through the appropriate channels so that they can sift and keep you from saying or slipping of the tongue one innocent comment that could actually derail the whole thing. Same thing is like if you say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go in and I'm going to renovate the whole freaking house, and you're saying that in the presence of the seller might be emotionally attached to their home. In fact, they probably are. They've been living there for how many years, right? So if you say something like that in the presence of a seller, the seller may take offense to it and may decide they just don't want to work with you and look for every way and excuse out of the contract not to work with you. Or if you've said it before you moving into the closing process, they just may not entertain your offer because they don't want somebody destroying their home. In some cases, sellers are either going to be bottom line sellers, meaning that they're focusing on how much money they're going to get, or in other cases, people are going to be looking at they really want their home to go to somebody that is going to cherish it and love it the same way that they did, and then make their gradual improvements or make it their own over time. But they don't necessarily want to hear what those projects are going to be looking like. So it's important to understand that market is a mix of that. Not every seller is in it for the money, and not every seller is in it for finding the buyer that's going to take care of their home. It's just important to understand, we as people, and there's so many different, like 7 billion people in the world, we all got a different personality, we all have different things that make us tick, and it's important to be respectful. It really comes down to a point of respect and courtesy to each other. That's really what it's about. So that brings us to frustrating thing number 7, which is lowballing on a counteroffer. Again, going back to the example that I gave you a little bit earlier in this video, if you're offering on that $300,000 property, it comped out at $300,000, you offered $285,000, seller came back, said, hey, we'll go ahead and move forward at $292,500, and you say, no, now I want $280,000. Now you got a bigger problem, because now you go in the reverse direction then, as opposed to trying to find the middle ground in the negotiation that makes everybody feel whole and everybody feel like they won something and can leave the negotiation table feeling good. they're not going to feel good about it. And if people don't feel good about the negotiation, it's going to be a very rocky ride. And again, from experience, if it's that rocky up front, it doesn't get any better throughout the process. You're going to still have to work together for the next 30 to 40 days in the closing process to get everything done. And if everything's that difficult up front, then what happens when you get the home inspection report back? What happens if there's an issue with an appraised value? What happens if the appraiser says certain things need to be done on the property before the loan can be funded? What happens with getting the HOA documents if it's an HOA community in a timely manner? There's so many what ifs that could happen, and so many things that could still derail you closing on your new dream home. So that's been 7 ways that home buyers frustrate the real estate agents. If you have any questions or comments about this, feel free to hit me up. I'm going to put my contact information up right now. Even if you just want to say hi, I always enjoy hearing from you. If you learned something new from this video, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. Number 1, please subscribe to the channel. Number 2, please like this video. And number 3, please share this video around with someone you know it's going to be able to help. Thank you so much for watching today. Looking forward to coming back to you next week with another episode of Home Buying Tips. Enjoy an amazing week.